Well met, and welcome back to The Angry Chicken, a podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I am joined, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. Welcome back, guys. The trio is here.
I'm back!
He is back.
My voice is back!
The
my
Dills.
voice is completely gone last
Don't
week.
wreck it. Don't wreck it.
And then you just did,
Oh my god, I'm back! Yeah, no. Man in the box!
You sound like the voice actor who does Bender when he's doing his normal voice and very excited.
No, I'm doing Jimmy Fallon's radio character from SNL. And we're back! You don't remember that guy? I love that skit. A lot of people were like, Dills was just too hungover to record last week, and that was what happened. And I will say this. Alcohol had something to do with it because I won the tournament, the MJ tournament the night before. But it wasn't the hangoverness. It was that I yelled a lot and screamed a lot, and my voice was completely gone.
So you had loud bar voice.
I could push through being hungover for sure and record, but I cannot push through the fact that voices don't come out of my body. Like that I cannot push through. So
It was people doing detective work on your Twitter. We're like,
yeah.
here.
They're like, oh, did you guys notice that yesterday he was really drunk? But actually, so then I streamed on Tuesday, and instead of talking, I just played old radio clips of my college radio show and just played and didn't talk. Because I was just like, I still can't talk, but I want to stream, so I just sat there and I just played like my old radio show. It was pretty funny. Yeah. So I'm back now. Voice is back. Everything's good.
Past Dills is sitting in for current Dills's.
Yeah, exactly. 3
voice.
years ago, Dills, who knew nothing about Hearthstone and wasn't playing it, will be talking over my stream tonight.
Because it did not exist. It did not. So yeah, man. I mean, so you've been gone for a week, at least from the show.
Yes.
Since then, so you and I did a show 2 weeks ago, and literally the day after, because I know some of the folks at Team 5 listen to the show, but I really think they just like messing with us. The day after Hearthstone came out on phones.
It was weird, right? We did not know that it was happening.
We had a bit in the news. It's like, oh, it's probably coming out because there's this patch up on the server and it has all these strings about phone Hearthstone. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. You didn't even try to Dilstradamus it.
No.
I didn't even think to mention it because we're like, oh, it's probably still a few weeks out. Like,
it did nothing. There was no indication from Blizzard at all that this was coming around the horizon, and it literally came out the very next day. And I remember I was at my desk, and I was just kind of messing around on Twitter or whatever, and somebody goes, "Man, Hearthstone on the phone is so good." And I was like, "What?" I was just like, went immediately, downloaded it, started playing. And it was seamless, like
that's
right
exactly
away.
how I
The
found
game
out
was
about it.
So well done.
I was at.
There wasn't a really big like announcement or anything. They weren't really like all over the place. It was just like there's a tweet that was like, oh, by the way, it's on the phone, and I'd already had people tweeting at me being like, go download it. It's in the store. Go get it. And I'm like, okay. There would have been a little bit more fanfare for that.
I was having dinner with Iskande from our chat room.
Right.
And, yeah, he just pulls it out and starts playing it, and I'm like, oh, did you jailbreak your phone? He's like, no, it came out. I'm like, no.
Oh, right, because you were in that place where you did that talk.
Yes, Penn State, Pennsylvania.
Yes. That faraway place, you know.
It's a lot closer to you than I usually am.
True. And you didn't come visit, jerk.
Oh, I know, because Nova Scotia is just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
According to American geography, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
American geography, yes. Canada, as we all learned from South Park, has only one road.
Yes, that's true.
Follow the only road. But yeah, so has Hearthstone on phones really changed any of our playing habits? I know I've been playing a lot more casual because I find myself playing on the phone a lot more, and I don't trust it.
I find that I get into matches, and then I'm just like, I think I'm gonna have like 10 minutes, and because it's on the phone, I think I should only be able to play for 10 minutes, and then a match starts going longer than that, and I'm like, oh shit, I have things to do. I need to, stop playing. So I
need to pay for these groceries.
I tend to play just so I haven't had the experience of like trying to get a game in really quick yet, because I've just been playing when I'm just have a little downtime. So like the other night I had my pool league night and I was there, and normally I sit around and watch everyone play pool while all the matches are going on that I'm not participating in. But this time I sat there and I played like an hour and a half of Hearthstone, and it was awesome. And I played. So the day it came out, I was like, just in case this isn't whatever, I don't want to play ranked, which I don't even know why I still have that mentality of I don't want to play ranked because I'm not even trying for any specific rank. But I just did an arena run, and I actually got 12 wins on the first arena run I did on the phone. And I was like, well, this clearly works really well. But I also had 4 Imp Gang bosses in my Warlock deck, which is probably
yeah, I don't think the phone had anything to do with it, Dills.
But I have not had any issues, no disconnections, no anything like that. It seems to work really, really seamlessly. I guess I would be a little concerned about if I were to play, if I had to commute where I was on a bus or something and I went under tunnels or under freeway overpasses or anything like that, I might be a little bit concerned about it. But I don't feel like I'm going to lose games because of disconnects more than I would anywhere else. So I'm fine with playing ranked. I think you probably want to play like Face Hunter or Aggro something if you want to keep the games a little short. You don't want to play Control Warrior necessarily because then the mirror match comes up and you're just like, okay, well. But no, I think it's works seamlessly, like right out the box, and the way they set the whole thing up, the UI and everything. It took me a little getting used to clicking on my hand before playing stuff. I kept trying to drag like the tiny cards from the bottom right, and I was like, "Oh wait, I got to click first." Okay, click, and then but that once I got over that little hump, there was no. Oh, I guess one time I had a misplay where my hero power was
underneath your cards
through my cards. No, it was clickable through my cards or something. Oh. I accidentally clicked my hero power and then didn't have enough mana to play Emperor Thorison or something like that, and that kind of screwed me up. But,
yeah, I think I mentioned it last week. I had one game where I just couldn't swing with my weapon-equipped warrior, and it cost me the game. And I was just like, "What the?"
You just could never swing. Was it like
I couldn't swing.
Was it like okay?
It hasn't happened since. This is like my first night playing it the day it came out. But yeah, I'm not sure what caused it, but I haven't been able to replicate that issue. Other than that, the only issues have been my fat fingers, which is no different than when I play on the iPad.
Yeah, smaller screen, obviously, that's going to be a thing, but it's fine. So Cal from Game Night, who's my buddy and I was hanging out with yesterday, him and RJ and Mike from Game Night all came to KrakenCon to help me out with that, which I really appreciate from those guys. That was fantastic. But he used to play on like a jailbroken version of his phone and kind of ported it over on his own. And that was how he played all the time. And that UI is terrible for such a small screen.
Oh, yeah.
But now that, it's kind of, you click here, you open it up, you get your bigger cards. He was like, man, my fat finger is suddenly not so much of a problem anymore. So they found a way to make it work. And I have an iPhone 5S, I think it is. So, I mean, my screen's not big. My screen is whatever.
Okay.
And it works just fine. So now I kind of want like an iPhone 6 Plus or
right? Whatever. That's the first thing I said is I'm like, okay, now I need to upgrade my phone. So Apple's getting all of my dollars and should probably give Blizzard some sort of a commission because
you might as well get the watch while you're there, right?
Yeah. Might as well, yeah. Can I play Hearthstone on the watch? There's not about.
I would actually be kind of funny if you could be playing and then on the watch it could like tell you that it was your turn or something, so you could kind of just like set it down for a second or go look at other stuff, and then your watch would be like, it's your turn. Okay, cool.
How absurd of a multitasker are you that you need your watch to alert you that
I
gotta
check
on
Twitter
the phone.
in between my turns, man. This guy's roping every turn. I gotta do something.
I haven't really had the phone in a social Hearthstone experience yet, but I'll tell you what made me realize how well it's working out is seeing shots from the fireside gathering that was taking place in Heroes of the Dorm last night.
People all on their phones. Right?
Everyone's on their phone. I didn't see a single freaking iPad. Everyone had their phones out. Because if you guys missed it, the Heroes of the Dorm finals were on ESPN2 last night. It was kind of a big deal, a little bit, and they had a fireside gathering set up in one of the balconies.
Yeah, and there was like a whole tavern set up too. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it looked great. Our Dills, D-Day, who we play Heroes with, he went. I think he took a bus from Arizona, and I was very jealous because, oh man, that looked like a hell of a time. Yeah,
it looked really fun. I watched the whole thing. I guess we started watching about 4 something, so I guess I didn't see the whole thing. I missed a bunch of the first match, but oh my god, that was really well done, just from top to bottom. The casting, the production values, all of that. It's an exciting day for esports, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
This, I think, sets up the Hearthstone could be on ESPN. I really think so.
Yeah, at first I was thinking in my head, I'm like, well, that's kind of a stretch because it's not like team based, but it's like they show darts, they show poker. I mean, things get weird on ESPN too. So why not Hearthstone?
Yeah, I mean it's a card game just like poker. So as long as the poker boom happened when a lot of people didn't understand really how poker worked, and people got excited about it after watching it, right? So if you can kind of mirror that and get people excited through the production and the casters being able to really talk you through what's going on, I see no reason why Hearthstone couldn't exist on ESPN2 or ESPN1 for that matter. World Championship of Hearthstone at BlizzCon?
That's just crazy talk.
Why not? The World Series of Poker is on straight up ESPN, not even ESPN2. It's on legit ESPN1, right? And the whole thing. So I don't know if you guys caught the flack, right?
I saw plenty of the flack.
Jock rage or whatever.
And then I got
what? Okay, no, I missed all that.
And then I got flack for pointing out the flack. I'm like, what? What?
So people who like sports, who watch ESPN2,
some people who like sports.
Yeah, some people. But the people who were raging were not people who were just on ESPN2 because they just were browsing the channels. It's like people who go to ESPN2 because they want to watch the highlight reels of whatever basketball game or whatever, and then they see a video game, and they freaked out like it was some terrible injustice being done to them because there's a video game on it. And really, it boils down to people who probably made fun of nerds and when they were in high school, and they're just trying to give wedgies to them through the internet.
Oh yeah, I saw tons of mom's basements and virginity jokes thrown all over the place.
By the way, Twitter wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for nerds, and these guys are all over Twitter. So thank the nerds that you get to make fun of the nerds on their little nerdy Twitter program.
And also, this isn't new. Dodo was on ESPN last year.
That's true. Yeah,
I don't understand. I mean, it's not common. It was like Dodo happened once. Nothing for a year, and now here's the dorm. But I don't know. I got real annoyed at it, and now I've just kind of calmed down. I'm just like, these people are just jerks.
I mean, people are going to be jerks about just about anything, so it didn't really bother me. But I just thought it was kind of funny because it's what it kind of represents to me is people kind of afraid of something they don't understand invading their personal space, and essentially, it's like you could just turn it off. You could go to ESPN1. You could do whatever you want. I don't understand.
Or any of the 300 other sports channels that are on cable.
The thing that got me particularly ruffled was making fun of the players themselves, because it's just like, well, if you're a traditional sports fan, I mean, what do you want? More drug use and domestic violence from them? I mean,
this guy couldn't beat his wife if he tried. It's
oh Jesus.
But that was. I mean, granted, the players were awkward as esports players tend to be, which I like.
Dude, we're awkward. Look at what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. But it was funny to see what they were saying because it just reeked of insecurity, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And if no one's giving you shit, you're not doing it right. That's really what it boils down to.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
So,
but whether they like it or not, it did pretty well, and a lot of people got pretty excited about it.
No, absolutely. I have a cousin I'm very close with who I grew up with. He's basically a brother. He is the sports nut in the family. You could ask him you want to know any stat from basically any sport, chances are he knows it. And I just start getting texts from him out of nowhere last night. He's like, what is going on in ESPN2 right now? I don't know what it is, but it is awesome, and it looks like something you would know about.
He's like, not only do I know about it, I do an entire podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you should check out I'm plugging Into the Nexus to my cousin. But we had a good time. He thoroughly enjoyed it. He's like, I've never seen a pro gaming event in my life. This is wonderful. So I had a good time. It was great. It was a big step for Blizzard Esports.
Yeah, I mean, just all esports in general. The fact that it was presented in that fashion. I mean, the real truth is that anybody who's into sports is nerdy about sports, and I don't understand where people don't see that that's You know, there's like full grown men who are essentially groupies for really muscular dudes who can do things they can't. And they're like, oh man, Tom Brady's my man. It's like, I love Tom Brady. It's like, you're just kind of a fangirl for Tom Brady, right? Like, you just really like the way he throws the football in those tight pants. Settle down about the nerds playing their Heroes of the Storm, you know? We could all throw stones if we want to, but let's realize what kind of houses we live in.
I was about to say it. We've said it on the show before. Everybody is a nerd about something.
Yeah,
doesn't
absolutely.
matter
being
what
nerdy
it is.
Literally just means being into something at this point. Like, it's, you know, and I'm a nerd about all of it. I like the sports too. I like Tom Brady in his tight pants throwing the football. I like all that. But
I don't like specifically Tom Brady, but I could go with Eli Manning.
I'm just using him as an example because of how good looking he is.
I just had just a little jab to the Patriots.
But no, it's fantastic, and yeah, it's excited to hear what you guys are going to say about it on Into the Nexus, because I'm sure you guys will go much deeper than we are right now.
Should be a fun episode, especially since we missed last week, so there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh wow!
So yeah, if you don't know, I do a Heroes of the Storm show. Check it out. It's called Into the Nexus. But I have another question for you guys. Are you nerding out over Blackwing Lair, the latest swing for Blackrock Mountain? We having fun with that?
So good. I don't know what it was about this week's bosses, but oh man, so much fun. Every single fight was awesome.
Yeah, they were really good. I gotta say, I think it was Chromagguuussss the one where he put cards in your hand?
Yes, and then you had to like use your mana to like dispel all of his effects.
That's the funny thing.
You had to figure out what you could live with and what you couldn't.
Yeah,
so good.
That's the funny thing about these bosses. Like, I don't remember them by name. I remember them by mechanic. I'm like, it's the guy with the one mana dragon spells. Like, but they were nothing but dragons in Blackwing Lair, so it kind of blurs together.
That one represented the actual fight pretty well too, because essentially that's what that boss did, was debuff you with these different kind of aspects or whatever, and then once you had all of them, you turned into this other thing. And I guess they had talked about maybe having you turn into that, but that didn't end up how it worked out, which I think would have been weird anyway. I think the way they did it was nice. It was like, try to find extra mana to get these debuffs out of your hand. And that was one of the first fights that I did on normal that felt a little stressful, because at some point I had like 3 of them and I was like, I can't play all the, you know, but then eventually by turn 5 or 6, it was easy to get them all out and pretty easy win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember once I got 3 of them, I was stressed.
Yeah, I think I had to take like my whole turn 3 or 4 to just like play them all out of my hand. Yeah.
I was still trying to play like a tempo-based game, so I was, you know, I dealt with having them for a few turns, and then realized like I'm gonna have to get rid of 1 or 2 like every turn from here on out. But I think I played that entire wing. I just played mid-range paladin on every single one and beat them all in the first try. It was not too difficult, but I'm saving heroic to come back and do it all at once, and I hear that it's pretty tough. So
yeah, I didn't get Chromagguuussss on the first try. I've been going in blind to a lot of these with just like a patron warrior, because on some of the earlier fights, Grim Patron just won. So I went into this with it. It did not work out. And a lot of the fights, by the way, you know, in the earlier wings, before you select the boss, you look at the hero power, you can kind of come up with a plan. A lot of the bosses in this wing were just like, you read the hero power, you're just like, well, that tells me literally nothing.
Yes.
I don't know what's going to happen in this fight.
Especially the last one.
Oh, Nefarian. Yeah, Nefarian was just like, good luck.
Shows his true form or something. I'm like, what the hell is that even? Oh, God. Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible.
So I went in there, and then after I tried Chromagguuussss one time, I was like, well, okay, so he's putting cards in my hand. What do I want to do? I ended up beating him with Handlock. Because he just filled up my hand. So I was like, out you go, Mountain Giants. Yeah, Mountain Giants because he's giving you cards and stuff. That's an interesting way to go about it too. Also, your Twilight Drakes are pretty strong and stuff. So yeah, and then afterwards I went and read some guides, and everyone's like, oh, you just do it like a mage with Flamewaker. I'm like, that makes so much more sense. Why didn't I do that?
I'm tempted to try to do all the heroics without looking anything up, but from what I hear, that's not going to work. I was watching somebody try. Yeah, I was watching somebody try Nefarian, and it looked impossible. I was like, "There's no way you could do this." Nefarian's the one that has like a full mana bar every turn.
Yes.
And just plays whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
And you have 1 mana, and then he gives you a thing, right?
Rag helps you. Rag gives you 0.
But on heroic, you get 1 turn of that, and then never again. And yeah, it just looks impossible. But I'm excited to try them all. I'm just waiting to. Right now, I just wanted to play the cards, so I went normal, class challenge. Let's go. Let's make some decks.
Hell yeah, it was a good time. So, Chromagguuussss, your favorite, Jocelyn?
I don't know. Actually, I think probably my favorite was the Red Dragon. I can't remember which one it was, but the one that was basically like a mill deck.
It's the one I can't pronounce.
Yeah, something Straza, I'm sure. And yeah, like the one where his hero power was just each player draws 2 cards. And so I think with that one, I went Face Hunter because I wanted to pretty much just be emptying my hand as much as possible. And that worked pretty well. But that was a fun mechanic. Because at first I'm like, yeah, sweet cards. And then I'm like, oh no, those are way too many cards.
Yeah, I'm going to Valistraz. That's my best attempt.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
But I'm sure the Innkeeper had some really crazy way of saying it. By the way the Innkeeper, and I should have capped this, the way the Innkeeper says Chromagguuussss is the best thing ever in the history of Hearthstone.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone be as excited as the Innkeeper was.
Chromagguuussss! It was so good. It made me so very, very happy. So thank you, Innkeeper. I need to find that voice actor and shake his hand. Or just hug him awkwardly. One of the two. Before we get into the news, check out over on hearthhead.com. Both Dills and myself have some new articles up. I mean, Dills, you wrote about the new Freeze Mage.
Which is just kind of the old Freeze Mage with Emperor Thaurissan in it, really. But
he makes a huge difference.
He makes a huge difference because Freeze Mage always... The problem with Freeze Mage was always you're limited by the amount of mana you have in those late turns to actually get all that burst out. You stall the game, and then you burst them down after you play Alexstrasza. When you can get 9, 10 cards in your hand and play Emperor Thaurissan, and suddenly you have 0 mana Ice Lances and 1 mana Frost Bolts and 3 mana Fireballs, and if it sticks for even just one turn, I found a couple of times where I was able to on turn 9 play Emperor Thaurissan and then Frost Nova their board, and then keep Thaurissan around for one more turn, and then suddenly it was like 8 mana Pyroblast plus 2 mana Fireball, 16 damage on turn 10. It's like there's some crazy stuff you can do. So I think that's one of the decks that Thaurissan really makes the biggest difference on, and I've been seeing a little bit. It's kind of made it have a little bit of a comeback. So it literally turns back the clock on Freeze Mage because all of those freezing cards were all nerfed by 1 mana, right? So Thaurissan essentially turns back the clock back to before they were nerfed. Of course, you have to wait until turn 6 when you play it, and you have to have it, so it's not quite the... I've found that Thaurissan isn't the end-all, be-all of cards like everybody thought he was. He's very good, but he hasn't destroyed the game yet, right?
Yet.
No, not by any means, but he's incredibly strong. But I'm sure all three of us have had that game where... we played our hand out, then we get Thaurissan. It's like, well, now it just kind of sucks. Like he's underpowered for the mana cost, and I have nothing to discount.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, yeah, he's good in a few kinds of decks. Like I think everybody just thought, oh, just chuck him in every deck and good to go, but hasn't worked out that way.
No, it's any, but really, I mean, non-aggro decks is where he tends to shine.
Any deck that's going to have a decent amount of cards in your hand and have the time to play him is still going to be good.
Yep. Love me some Thaurissan. And then I've been did another kind of snapshot of some of the more popular decks at the moment from BRM. So go check that out as well. Let's get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Polygon interviewed Ben Brode this past week, and he went deep into designing boss fights, which I highly recommend everyone go over and check this out because it was a good read. But we're going to talk about some of the highlights right now, especially. Well, I'm not going to get into it. Just we'll just start talking. Apparently, the BRM was supposed to be Molten Core when it first started, and they kind of realized there wasn't going to be enough bosses. So that's how we ended up with all of Blackrock Mountain being the focus of this adventure.
Well, yeah, Molten Core is like 10 bosses or something. It's really not that many.
Yeah, it's funny because now we've all gone through, gotten our core hounds, and it seems like there's too many bosses because oh my god, that took way too long. But no, you're absolutely right. It's like I think it is 10 bosses.
Yeah, and it's and it was when it was a 40-man raid and it took 20 minutes just to get everybody to stop talking and stand still and take their buffs. Sure, it took plenty of time, but in Hearthstone you don't have to do that. So it would have fallen short as just that one single raid. I think this was really well done the way they did it, and plus it was really nostalgic for old WoW players too.
Oh, absolutely.
Got BRM in there. You wouldn't have had the Grim Patron if it was just Molten Core, because he's not in there. He's in the 5-man.
No, absolutely. And Brody even mentioned that I guess the first part of designing this adventure was to just go do the dungeons and then see what's memorable, see what isn't, and see what they might want to build an encounter out of. So like
those poor bastards have the hardest job in the world. Don't they?
I know.
You know what we need to do? We need to research and go run some WoW dungeons. All right, guys, everybody, log into your computers. We're doing WoW dungeons. Like, oh man,
best day ever.
Yeah.
That makes me really, really happy. I don't know why. Just thinking that, because obviously you think that Blizzard employees play Blizzard games, that there's just something about Olive Team 5, running through a raid together just gives me happy feelings.
Well, it comes through in the final product. It's very fun, and a lot of the fights really kind of capture the feel. And I guess
I get the sense that they told Ben Brode more than once to clear vent. Ben, can you stop laughing all the time? We're trying to talk about strategy.
Brode, clear vent, Brode.
Yeah.
Brode.
Who do you think led the raid? Do you think?
I think it was Brode, and I think the whole time he was just.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Just the entire time.
You don't think Dodds was like, "Hey, I'm in charge around here"? I would think Yang Wu would be a very level-headed raid leader as well.
I think Linz would do really well.
I was about to say we got to see Zarya and Lindsay really let Zen Style have it at BlizzCon. So I
don't want to be on the wrong side of those two. That's all I'm saying.
I could see them co-leading.
Yep.
Get all those nerdy dudes in line. Yeah, that could work out. Yeah.
Ben also said that the Razorgore fight apparently was the hardest to design. They had an initial version where they replaced your hero power with one that controls Razorgore. So you'd fill his side with eggs and win as Razorgore. So that's closer to the actual fight. And then there was also another version of it where you played as both your hero and Razorgore, which just sounds. I want to see that.
That's weird.
I want to see how that would play.
You'd be like playing yourself. How would that even work?
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Yeah. I mean,
Jocelyn trying really hard
that
not to say playing
cool.
with yourself.
But I don't know, Garrett, have you ever done the thing where you're trying to test out a Magic deck, so you play against another Magic deck or whatever, and you play both sides? It's kind of okay, but I don't know.
Once, and I hated it, so now I forced Katie to play with me.
Test the deck out. I was like, but I know what's in the other hand, so I don't. How do I?
Yeah.
How do I make an informed decision or actually an uninformed decision?
Yeah.
Which is what I would be making. But yeah, it's it doesn't work.
You go find your roommate and you say, you have to play this with me.
Can you just play this deck for me real quick? Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I would find that very fun. I mean, maybe one time it'd be fine. But I'm glad they didn't go that route, personally.
I'm just curious how the UI would work. Would you just be able to click up at the top of the board and just drag things and do stuff? Or
it'd be interesting if it just flipped you around or something. It
would be cool. But as we know, the boards aren't actually perfectly 3D the way they're set up. So it'd be weird. But I'd love to see that. It'd be cool if they made the Molten Core or the Blackrock Mountain board able to actually flip. That would be an interesting
would
design.
Be cool. If you did for spectator mode, let's say you were spectating both players, if the board automatically flipped for you, and then if you're doing a tournament, you wouldn't have to worry about making two different UIs and stuff. You could just be like, yeah, it just does it for us.
Yeah, and I gotta say that I'm still not sold on having it flip on tournaments because it still throws me. I don't like it.
Flipping.
I don't know why tournaments why everyone has just agreed unanimously. All right, this is what we're gonna do because it's confusing as hell.
Yeah,
it is if they don't have an indicator of which guy is which, right? So it's some tournaments have done a really good job of really strongly indicating which guy is playing which.
A lot of them are doing this like highlight, like a highlight goes around the camera, which is great. I still just prefer it though when it's static. It's just easier. When it's just static,
yeah. I think it's because when you're watching a turn, they feel like you should be watching it from the position of the player. Yeah. So then you're always kind of watching it from that position. But yeah, I would prefer to just be static and just have the cards make sense.
Yeah.
I'm upside down cards is a problem. They need to fix that.
I'm in a weird like esports critique mode. I was like hating all over the overlay for Heroes of the Dorum yesterday, and
no mini map. What the hell, man?
There was a lot of things on that overlay. They
didn't have the XP bar, so you couldn't tell like when they were
no
getting close
any
to
useful information. Yeah, like they didn't even have the match score permanently. Whenever they felt like it would show at the top. So if I walked away and came back, I'm like, I have no idea who's up a game right now.
Yeah,
which I get. They actually. This is off topic, but whatever. They put a post up on the Heroes site where they explained why they had to do what they did. It's because people still have TVs that are 4x3. So if the sides are getting cut off, but still, you could have put a little more information on that thing.
I also think they were trying to not overload the screen with stuff so that it wasn't confusing for people who didn't understand what the game was.
Yeah, no, I get
it. They're trying to make it very noob friendly.
Yeah. I get it. Everyone's going to like tune into Nexus this week. It's going to be the same discussion. Although, granted, a lot longer because I won't be having to constantly try and get myself back onto discussing Hearthstone. Anyway, back to Mr. Broad here talking about boss design. They asked him about how he actually develops or how they develop a fight, and he basically said there's two different ways. There's top down and bottom up. Top down being we have a boss from an existing WoW fight. Let's try and replicate that in Hearthstone, and then bottom up being we have an idea for what could be a cool fight. Let's just try and build it and see if there's a boss that kind of works with it.
Yeah, figure out what boss we could shoehorn this into, and
shoehorn might be.
Well, no, but I mean, like you got an idea for a fight, and then you go, which boss could this work as? And that's essentially kind of doing that. It's like saying, all right, let's force it in there and make it work.
That's a good point.
But from I like the top-down design better because I'm a WoW player, but I get why sometimes that's not going to work.
Well, and Ben made a good point that there are some WoW bosses that just aren't that interesting, and he gave Dracasath as an example, and that's where you would just take them and then build a new mechanic for the sake of Hearthstone.
Yeah, and that's fine because not everything's going to work in both places for sure. But I really like going back to it and having the nostalgic feeling of like, oh, cool, that's how they made that mechanic exist in Hearthstone. Like to me, that's quite fun. So I like it when they do it that way. I understand why it can't always be that way. Like when you're fighting, Kel'Thuzad, and then the two like big dudes come out with the taunt, and it reminds you of when you switch into that phase, and the big beetles come flying out of the different sides of the room, and suddenly they have to be tanked and that kind of stuff.
You know what it doesn't have though? 9 to 24 other people screaming in your ear to the point where blood is running down the side of your neck.
True. Don't miss that.
Because that's what my Kel'Thuzad experience was like when those beetles came out.
I love that fight, man. I love that fight so much. Except for the 10 minutes you had to spend killing all the stupid mobs at the beginning just to unlock Kel'Thuzad every single time.
Yep. Oh, if you wiped it,
skip this part after we've already done it. It was the
worst.
Times.
Oh, it's just the worst. Yeah. Well, it was to soften you up, so you went into Kel'Thuzad's fight with no mana. But it was.
Yeah, it was essentially just it was part of Can we just make these phases?
Can we just hit start and you just take away like 25% of our mana, please? Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to work like GTA, where it's like, okay, we already drove all the way, so we don't have to do that again. Just start me where I'm in the gunfight.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get shot again, and it goes wasted and turns red and pans out. Wonderful. Ben also wanted to do something with the cards that triggered when they were in your hand. This led, obviously, to Chromagguuussss. He said that the design isn't present in Hearthstone, so having to choose between spending your mana to dispel yourself or play your own cards. Which
this sets up future cards, doesn't it?
I was yes. That's are we gonna see this? Are we gonna see? It seems like an Affliction Warlock. Like, that's the first place my brain goes. Like, you could build a different type of Warlock deck that starts basically putting killer bananas in your opponent's hand.
Yeah. We already have the give cards to the opponent that don't already exist, right?
ETC.
I pretty much ETC and King Muckla.
I think that's it. Okay.
Two that really do it, but
right.
But we already have this mechanic of giving something to the opponent that doesn't already exist in the game, And so why not give them some sort of debuffing card that they have to get out of their hand, and it costs them mana to do so, and it gimps their next turn a little bit,
Yeah, and
or they pay a price.
And as we saw with Chromagguuussss, that's not even necessarily a bad thing. If you're giving them a spell that's detrimental to them to hold on to, it still might help them. In the case of I played Handlock, and a lot of people played Mage, because it doesn't matter if it's not a good spell, you're still triggering a lot of your minions with spells. Period.
Yeah, it still counts as a spell you're playing. Sure, yeah. You could do other things too, because like in Magic, there's a thing. There's like a poison effect or something like that, where if it reaches 10, they die. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't actually.
There used to be decks built around this. I don't think you ever see it anymore, but I think it's still played in like the Modern Masters format or something like that, or Legacy. But there was a thing where you were essentially poisoning the other guy, and they only had to reach 10, and then they'd lose. And so you could play a deck that instead of trying to take 20 life from the other guy, bring them down to 0, you were just trying to give them 10 poison, right? I can't exactly remember what it's called. I don't think it's called poison, but
some kind of stack.
Anyway, yeah, like you could do something like that where you essentially, like, with Affliction, you give them maybe a card that costs like 8 mana or something, and it's that one spell that they have where it goes off and then it like spreads and does a bunch of damage when it kind of expires. Like you could give them some card that then they can't get rid of for a few turns. If they can't get rid of it on like turn 8, it blows up and does a bunch of damage to them or something like that. There could be some really interesting ideas and cool things.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of wings ago we had Living Bomb, which was not exactly the same because it's not happening to the hero and it's not going in your hand, but you're making one of the minions now this thing that just explodes and kills everything on their board if you don't deal with it.
Sure.
Right.
Infect. That's what it's called. Thanks to the big J. Infect is what it's called in Magic.
Thank you.
But yeah, there's a bunch of, and you're hitting the nail right on the head with Warlock, because that is exactly. And you could also do this with like with Death Knight when they come out too. There could be some crazy, because they have all the diseases they put on you. So there's a lot of really cool places.
That I thought of.
Yeah, or bleed effects in Warrior. The card has like some sort of bleed effect as long as it's in your hand, and you got to try to get it out of your hands to stop bleeding. Could be amazing stuff going on with this mechanic. So I'm glad that it's here, and this is a cool way to introduce it.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, we have no idea if we'll ever actually get cards like this to play with. But
I think we probably will, as long as the feedback from Chromagguuussss is positive, which I think for the most part it has been. I haven't seen anybody really saying that it's like the worst thing ever and they hate the mechanic.
Also, the big boss man's the one who put it in, right? And wanted to put it in. So
I'm not sure I've seen anyone though like up in arms over any bosses in particular.
Nah.
I don't think anyone was like, "Oh my god, I'm so offended by this boss mechanic." You really, because it's not PvP. You're not playing as another person, so they're not gonna be as invested.
I mean, honestly, the way boss fights work right now is really awesome, because you can just do whatever you want with them and make all kinds of crazy stuff. Make completely OP cards that when they play them, you're like, really? I want to do that. What was the card? Kill a minion, give yourself 10 armor. One of the bosses played. I was like, what is this craziness? But I mean, so they get to design insanely OP cards. We get to try to play against those. The whole thing is really fun. And even though, like Garrett, you said you don't really care for PvE, there's a ton of people who I think just really enjoy this aspect, because maybe they don't like going to ladder, or maybe whatever. And now Hearthstone's got some sort of interesting thing for them to do.
I like it the first time through. I just have, for whatever reason, and I can't explain it, no desire to do heroic. I think for me it's just that the prize doesn't seem worth it to me.
The card back,
yeah.
I really like the card back I got from Nax though, and I finally did it, and I'm using that's the one I use now all the time.
It is a cool card.
So I guess it's just it's whatever. If the reward's not worth it, then whatever. And the cool thing is you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Just get the cards.
Because I do really enjoy my first time through. The first time seeing a boss is always very exciting and trying to figure it out. But I'm just like, do I really want to beat my head against this wall for hours on end for one card back at the end of all of it? Not really.
Now, what if they gave you gold versions of those cards for beating it on heroic?
I would be doing heroic right now.
I really wish that was the reward. Like, a card back is cool, but I wish, because you can't craft these cards regular at all, right?
No.
So you can craft the golden versions of them
once you unlock the
once
first
you have
version
them. Yeah. But I think there's plenty of cards that are dust sinks. There's plenty of cards in the game. If I want to craft all gold versions, you're not losing out on money if you give us one more way to get all of our golden cards from Nax and BRM. You know, so I don't know. Just think about it, Blizzard. Just think about it,
please.
I'm pretty sure they have
a little bit more of a cool reward for beating on a hero because it really is hard and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had the same discussion during Naxxramas, so unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it does. I would be on the heroic train tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think that it'll happen now because there's too many people who've already beat it. So unless they go back and give them all the gold cards retroactively, which I guess they could do, but
the bigger thing would be the people who already crafted the gold cards. You'd have to retroactively give them dust back. They were going to be mad. They're the ones.
I totally have gold belchers and zombie chows.
Yeah, I have gold. I have a few. I think I made gold undertakers because I was like, this card is insane. It's in all my decks. But you know, it's. Yeah, I get that, but that's always been a thing in Blizzard games where, sure, it was harder for you when you did it, but that doesn't mean that now we shouldn't give it to people. Like,
yes, it does, Dills. It means I need to get on the forums right now and let everyone know that I did more work in this game than they did.
But those people will always be there no matter what. I'm just, you know, like to me, it's like Blizzard has done this in the past of making something simpler to do later on, give you another way to get it. I don't see any reason why they would never do this. They also don't really have any real reason to do it because, you know, it doesn't really give them anything. But
yeah, and it's not cool. It's not like it's a detriment to our experience with the game. We still have the cards. The golden versions do literally nothing different except look awesome.
Except look really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And give you super swag. That's what I'm looking for is the swag.
Super swag.
Yeah.
Well, you can still get it. You just got to spend a lot of your...
I got to spend all my dust on that.
All your dust on your swag.
I'm missing 2 cards right now, which is a weird thing for me. I usually have all the cards. Yeah.
What are you missing?
I'm missing Hemet Nessingwary, and I'm missing Gazrilla.
Oh.
I don't have those 2. I really want both of them. Well, actually, I don't care too much about Hemet, but I just want all the cards, right?
Let's say you can sacrifice Flame Leviathan to the gods.
I don't have Flame Leviathan. I actually don't have that one too.
I may have disenchanted it today to finally craft Ysera.
What? Finally craft Ysera?
I never had Ysera.
Wow, you didn't have Ysera, dude.
I've never had Ysera.
I'm getting ready for the Dragon Paladin.
Damn right. And I tried it, and I'm pretty sure it's terrible, or I'm just terrible at it.
No, it's not. It's going to be really good Thursday because we're missing 2 very key cards, I think.
Yeah.
The mini fire elemental and the 6/4 that is cheaper when you kill stuff. Those 2 cards are going to make a huge difference, I think.
I agree. I agree because I tried it right now and I'm just like, this doesn't feel good at all,
dude. But imagine you play Dragon Consort turn 5, turn 6 you play Chromagguuussss, turn 7 you play Dr. Boom. Turn 8, you play. I don't even know what else would you have to play. Game's over by that.
You have to play another Dragon Consort if you want a discount on something. But yeah,
it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick.
No, I agree. I want to make it work.
Everyone's been trying to do it ever since week 3, and it's just we don't have all the tools yet. You know.
Nope.
And this is what I was saying. It's a little out of order as far as what decks you can make, but it makes sense as far as lore goes, so whatever, it's fine. We'll just wait.
Yeah, feels like I'm playing with one of my golden holy hands tied behind my back.
Yeah, exactly. With one of my dragons tied behind my back.
Gee, there you go. That would be a heavy, well, depending on the dragon. I guess a fairy dragon wouldn't be that heavy, but...
I did make it, and I was actually getting some decent success with it after week 3 with, I had Onyxia in there, I had Ysera in there, I had Axjaza in there. But yeah, it was like, you know, I was putting Azure Drake into Paladin. What am I? I have Consecrate. That's the only spell I'm giving spell damage.
It still draws you a card. And it probably costs you 3 mana instead of 5 because of Dragon Consort.
But I'd rather, I don't know, I was already adding another 5-drop, and then I was just keeping this card in, I don't know, it wasn't good.
Right, yeah.
So
it feels very awkward.
Yeah.
I'm going to start running, was it Holy Wrath? What is the...
Oh, yeah.
Hammer of Wrath.
Holy Wrath is the one that does...
Hammer of Wrath.
You're talking Hammer?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the 5-mana one that does the... Because if you have a bunch of big mana cost dragons in your deck, you draw those and you do 9 damage with it for 5 mana. That's pretty good.
Well, that's if you draw them. No, I was thinking of Hammer. I'm going to start running Hammer of Wrath just because I run Azure Drake.
Oh, okay. Hey, I guess I could see that.
I'm really kind of making a joke. I don't like Hammer of Wrath that much.
I don't think you would ever do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It draws a card.
It does, but it's 4 mana for 3, and you're playing that after you play Azure Drake, which is going to be at the earliest turn 5, even if it's discounted by Dragon Consort because Consort's 5. So what the hell are you going to kill with 4 health on it? Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good.
No.
No, I don't.
That deck's going to not be about removing as much as it's going to be about playing big threats and then forcing the other guy to deal with it.
I love the idea of a paladin going into battle with just an army of dragons behind him.
Yeah, just summoning.
I think everyone loves that.
I want that painted on the side of my panel van.
The tough thing is going to be to figure out how to fit in some of the cards that are also still really good, because you're going to want to put in Blackwing Technicians, but you also have Muster for battle and you have Follows the Rules as well. It's like, how do I fit all these 3s in? And then I also have, my 4s and then my 5s, and then I got all these big cost dragons, and that's going to be where people are going to have to make some tough choices.
Yep.
How do you cut Muster? How do you get rid of the Muster?
It's hard. It's hard to cut Muster.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Better than
I think,
cutting
though,
the cheese.
you know what you'll do? You put Coghammer in instead of Muster, because when you play these big threats and then you can give them bubbles.
Yeah.
Bubble your threats.
Yep. Bubble your threats, everybody.
Bubble your.
Wear your seatbelts and bubble your threats.
But at that point, is 3 or 4 weapons too much in Paladin?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You won't play Muster. You'll just play True Silver Champion, Tyrion. Those will be your only other 2 weapons. And then you'll play Coghammers, because you'll do something like play... you probably won't play Knife Juggalo anymore. So you'll just play Zombie Chow into Shielded Minibot into Coghammer. After you already killed something, you can then reshield it and stuff like that. It'll be, And then if you draw a Coghammer later, when you already have Chromagguuuss on the board, so then you give a bubble to Chromagguuuss, got an 8/6 or 6/8, sorry, with a bubble on it. Seems pretty good.
And then you remember, oh crap, I'm playing Priest, and it gets Shadow Worded.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm just teasing. It's because that happened to my Chromagguuuss today, and it made me sad. So last week we talked about Naaman, I don't know how to pronounce his name, being banned from Hearthstone and dropped from his team subsequently, but we didn't know why. We just know he was banned by Blizzard.
Yeah. This same thing happened with Alchemix. We didn't hear why at all.
Yeah.
We just heard he was out, but he didn't even say, we didn't hear, oh, he's banned. He just said, oh, I'm quitting my team because my account got dropped or something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, community manager Aratel posted a list of the high-level players that were banned, specifically from competing in the Hearthstone World Championship. So they're not only banned from Hearthstone. To answer our question from last week, they are banned from competing in the World Championship this year. It's only specified this year. So I would assume that they're eligible next year if they don't cheat. So
and if they want to come back.
So what happened?
A year is a long time to be away.
Yeah. So the players that were banned were Exam or just Zam. Not sure how to pronounce that.
Sure.
Alchemix, Naaman, and Damery. All 4 of them were banned for the same reason. The reason given was win trading, which we did bring up last week, but we weren't sure.
It's the if you're talking high level players, that would be the common way, because otherwise you're talking botting probably.
Right.
But I don't think these high level players will be botting very much. It's essentially they just are queuing with a buddy who's at the same rank or whatever, and if they happen to queue into each other, if they try to queue into each other, if they happen to, the guy who's wants to get elevated, the other guy concedes to him, he gets a free win. And if he doesn't get him, he's still a good player. He's probably going to have a good chance to win his game. But he gets a higher chance of getting pushed into the top legend. So, and now when you're talking about giving out points, it's a really big deal. So
absolutely,
it's a big incentive for some of these guys to do this.
Yeah. In happier esports news, the PGL Spring Tavern Tales happened this past weekend. It was hosted by DreamHack Bucharest, which confused me because all I heard was DreamHack Bucharest, and I'm like, I didn't know DreamHack was going on this weekend. And then I tuned into what looked like someone's living room instead of a massive arena full of crazy esports fans. But this is still a really good tournament if you like watching Stan Sifka eat an apple during the finals.
Very casual.
Yeah, I'm just like, why? And at first it was just an apple, and then it's like, I don't even know what he's eating. He's having his whole dinner during the finals against Firebat.
if you watch pro poker players, they're always eating at the table. So I don't see why.
This one particular one though.
Hearthstone.
I don't know why, because it's the first time I've seen this, and it was just killing me. I guess with poker, you have a lot of players, so the camera's shifting. We're watching the same dude the entire game just going to town on this apple.
Can you really go to town on an apple?
Oh, yes. Yes, you. That's exactly the kind of thing where you can just, just really, it's like corn on the cob, man.
Poker players have to sit at the table for, 10-hour sessions or whatever when they're playing these big tournaments, so they can't really eat anywhere else. These guys, I think they come in and they play their match, and then they go off and they have a little break, and then they come back. So, maybe. It's a little, but,
a little odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps him relax, An apple a day helps you beat Firebat.
Apparently, because he beat him handily. Even I should have made note of this. Even the casters caught it. Seemed like Firebat actually made a misplay, which is a rare occurrence.
So can you answer me this? Is this the guy? Is this the Magic player? Stan Sifka?
I think he is.
I'm not familiar with him, but the caster did say that he is known for Magic. Yes.
Okay, because I've seen him in like some of the Star City Opens or whatever. When I'm watching those on Twitch, I've seen him be like the featured matches and stuff.
Okay.
So he's that guy. That's the same. I didn't watch this tournament, so I don't know.
Like I said, I am not familiar with him from Magic, but the casters did say that he was known for Magic.
Okay. So it is the same. It's got to be the same guy. Okay.
Gotcha.
Oh, chat room saying Stan.
Yeah, chat room saying.
Yeah. Okay. I just saw the name and I was like, that's got to be that guy.
They're also saying that he's known for eating apples during Magic.
Oh. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, but
that's cool to see somebody from Magic come over and get into the Hearthstone. I want more of these guys to do it. We've gotten a few, but I want like a big Exodus, not Exodus, but like crossover, I guess.
I think the issue is like if you want to get like the pros crossing over, it's hard to do both games because you have to put a lot of time into one of them, regardless of which game you're trying to be a pro in. It'd be like trying to play StarCraft and Dota at the same time.
Dude, just trying to podcast about two different games is really difficult.
You're damn right it is. Like if I really want to play Heroes and I have like today, wanted to play Heroes this afternoon, I'm like I should really just play Hearthstone because I have to talk about it tonight. And then Thursday happens. The new wing comes out, and I got to do Hero into the Nexus that night. I'm like, I really want to play this new wing, but I got to talk about Heroes tonight.
You've just got everything backwards.
I know. Yeah. We got to start doing.
Well, we all do
this
all
on
the
Thursdays,
games,
and then
what we need to do is Angry Chicken on literally any other day but Monday because everything happens on Tuesday.
True.
That's a good point.
But schedules are hard, and we don't live anywhere near each other.
No.
So the finals were okay. They weren't the best finals I've seen. Some really quick matches. Freaking a turn 3 win in game 3 from.
But like actually, he won on turn 3, or did the guy concede? I didn't see. I see he's playing Fire Reaver Mech Shaman, so that can happen.
Yeah, no. So it was on Stan Sifka's turn 3. He's playing Handlock. He taps down to 20, and Firebat was playing his Fel Reaver Mech Shaman for the 3rd game in a row. He lost the previous 2 games, and he already had a Whirling Zap-O-Matic on board, and he drew his 2nd Rockbiter weapon, and he also had, was it a zombie? He had 2 damage on board. I don't remember what the minion was. He had exactly 20 damage on turn 3 with double Rockbiter, Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and 1 other minion.
God. So that deck, I think, is good, and we mentioned it briefly here.
Oh, we did a whole strategy segment on it.
Yeah, so that, not briefly, we mentioned it in depth.
Yeah,
so that deck is good, but I feel like its limitation is just that if it gets blocked by one single taunt, and this is what happened when I was playing it, it just couldn't do it, couldn't finish the job. And I want to go back and watch these games because I want to see Firebat's version of it, but he had to force it through, it looks like. And that doesn't bode well for the future of the Fel Reaver Mech Shaman.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of them in my ladder play, but I haven't lost to those that I have played against. And last week I went up against one with the Patron Warrior, and I had Thorson actually go off, and I had a bunch of spells in my head, and I actually burnt the guy's deck out. He had nothing left except what was in his hand. It was awesome.
And see, that was never the problem for me with that, because I was like, if I can't attack you, that's the problem. Like, getting rid of my cards, I don't really care about. But if I can't attack you because of Sludge Belcher, then I just lose.
Yeah.
Big limitation. Right?
Yep. You can also draw poorly, like with all of these mech decks. Like if you just draw backwards, everything goes south real quick.
If you don't get mech warpers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are you playing, Joss? Have you played any mech mage at all since you kind of gave up on that? Because I've seen it again. I feel like it's kind of back.
Yeah, I gave it a try right at the start of the season. But I switched over to tempo and I haven't really gone back. I find tempo more fun. I love the portals, so
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
know. Except when they give you Wisp into Worgen Infiltrator, which I got the other day.
Oh man.
So Gary, you sent me that deck. I was in my hotel room at KrakenCon, and you know what's funny though? I actually won that game that I got those.
You damn right you did, because it's a good deck regardless.
No one sees the Wisp coming. They're just like, what?
It's like the Spanish Inquisition, man. No one expects it.
Yeah, but no, I was getting the worst portals ever, and I actually still won like all my games with that deck. Really, just on the back of Flamewalker. Flamewalker just carried, so that card's insane.
Oh, that's Flamewaker, really, really good, man, really good. Let's talk about it because we're going to talk about deck building and strategies. Let's get right into it.
Hit it very hard. Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
Our strategy segment this week was actually inspired by a couple emails, but read one of them from listener Scott King, who writes, "Word up, G-Funks." I'm just going to skip that because it's inside baseball. He said, "I don't net deck, not because I have anything against it, but because the thing I enjoy the most is making a new deck from scratch and spending a few weeks refining and tweaking it. The hardest problem I have with this is knowing when a deck sucks." So that's the question I'm proposing. How do you know when a deck sucks, or you just had a bad matchup, or you just had an unlucky card draw?
Well then, I wrote a bunch of notes on this. Just kind of stuff to talk about. But I didn't get to his actual question until the end. So stick around, Scott King.
Stay tuned.
Or the very end. Yeah, this is a good topic and one we don't really talk about very much because we usually kind of just go over a deck that's at essentially a super net decked deck at this point. Yeah. But net decking is fine. A lot of people have some sort of big issue with it. I support doing it if you want to learn how to build a deck. I think a great way is to see what deck is good, and then you can kind of get you kind of like wrap your head around why a deck might be good or why a deck might be bad, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't really support the idea of just come in and just bang your head against the wall forever because you just want to be super original. I think you should try out decks, see what you like, see what you don't like. And then when you feel like you've got the handle on the game, deck building is super fun, and it is very rewarding to win with a deck that you came up with all on your own. I feel like though most of the time you're going to build kind of a funky, weird deck if that's how it works out, and because the good decks are kind of really refined and have been played by a lot of people. So that's what happens with me, is I end up with milkshake decks and Alarmobot rogues and stuff like that. But yeah, you can build just a good deck that's kind of serious.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say you either go like with a theme, you either try to be like your Brian Kibler, like I like dragons, I'm gonna go dragons, or my friend Kyle from Into the Nexus loves to do demon based warlock decks. He was doing it way before like demon lock was a thing because Void Caller didn't exist yet, and they were kind of terrible. But he was like, damn it, I'm gonna do it. I don't care.
I mean, most decks when you can look at the class and you can say what is the theme that Blizzard is kind of giving me, right?
Hunter,
so
beast,
warrior, and I see there's a lot of enrage cards and charge cards and weapons and and then hunter. There's all these beast cards. Mage, I could build just like a spell damage mage or something like that, or rogue. I could build spell damage rogue, and a lot of times you can kind of see what they're pushing you towards. So building like a demon log or something, it's not like this is an original thought you've had, but building your own version of it is definitely where you can kind of get that sense of I'm doing my own thing. I'm going my own way here. Jocelyn, you used to not like to net deck ever, right?
I know. I resisted for a very, very, very long time, and my ranks on ladder showed that.
Snowflake. We know this.
I am a special little snowflake. Yeah, I stayed away from it for a long, long time. But then I just realized, why take the time? Because, you have to first build your own deck, then you have to test your own deck, then you have to figure out why it's not working, because, trust me, it never works the first time.
No, sometimes you build Alarmobot Rogue and you just tear through the ladder. No, that didn't happen, but yeah.
Would have been awesome if it did. Alarmobot anything is just amazing.
I actually did win a decent amount of games with that deck. I think I ended up with like a 60% win rate with it. So.
I love the roleplay image in my head of a rogue who's supposed to be stealthy with a screaming Alarmobot. I love it. I love it so much.
Alarmobots is if anybody actually plays WoW knows, like, they're in Nomergon, and they're these little guys that run around, and if they see you, they like start freaking out, and then all of a sudden tons of mobs come.
Yep.
So like I always have this memory of Alarmobots. It's like, oh god, Alarmobot, kill it! You know, because all of a sudden there'd just be a ton of
kill it, fire.
And you know what? They managed to keep that same feeling in Hearthstone.
You're right.
Like, Alarmobot, kill it! Like, don't let it do anything.
Well, now I'm pretty sure the three of us have the reaction of, why are you playing that? And then we kill it.
If you see Alarmobot, you must kill Alarmobot because something terrifying is coming if you don't.
Yeah.
But so you were saying, like, so yeah, then what made you kind of click into, all right, I'm going to try some decks?
Well, mostly for me, it was just that I started really wanting to do well on ladder. I didn't just want to get to rank 20.
It was the Joss to Legend push was when.
No, it was long before that. But it's really hard to compete with decks that are built by pros, tested by a lot of people, and are out there being refined by not just the pros themselves, but, you know, all the other players. Like, there's just so much brain power that goes into these decks that you're just like, if you can take a look at it and then, like you said earlier, kind of like break it down and figure out why it works. And, you know, especially for me, it's not even so much as finding a deck list, but it's going to somewhere like Reddit and then seeing like, okay, well, this person says put this card in for this reason, and, you know, like kind of seeing people's thought processes as well. And you can find that a little bit on Hearthhead as well in the comment section underneath the decks. So there's just so much information out there and so much like good Hearthstone brain power that it's just sometimes I kind of got sick of trying to do it myself because I was never good at it. I would throw cards in for fun. And I mean, I still do that sometimes, and random decks is always going to be my favorite game mode of life. But yeah, for actually sitting down and trying to build a serious deck, I haven't done it in so long. I make very poor choices.
Well, let's see if we can help you out, Joss. Building a deck for ranked is definitely different than building a deck for boss, but I don't think anybody really cares too much about. I think when people ask about how to deck building for a boss is a completely different thing. Deck building for ranked is where that's where the money's at, right? That's where you get the golds.
Yeah.
So you really have to consider a few things when you start out, and that is like, how are you going to win with this deck, right? Which is, what is your win condition essentially. Different decks have different ways to do this. There's like, I just play minions every turn, and eventually I hit you in the face enough times that you're dead. Right?
That's Zulok or Face Hunter.
Or mid-range or something like that, right? Where it's, I just get a lot of damage out of my minions because my minions live and yours die. And, you know, so that's definitely one way to do it. But then you got, of course, like combos, big damage combos. You've also got just decks that outlast you, which is like the control decks, and then drop some big crazy dude, and that's how you win. And then you have to kind of answer, how does it answer the current meta? Like, how do I deal with the kind of decks I'm going to run into, right? Which is really important. So if there's all kinds of face hunters out there, sure, I can figure out how I win, but how do I kill them before I'm dead on turn 6, right? Which is what, you know, you're going to have some sort of way to deal with that.
That's why we started seeing Antique Healbot pop up in so many decks, because there were so many face hunters.
You can't build your whole deck around how I win. You got to also build it around how I prevent you from winning, right? So, and that's answering the meta. So if like a lot of handlock is out there, big game hunter, you want 2 of them. You know, if it's, there's just, you got to have the answers to what you might run into, and knowing what you might run into just comes down to knowing the meta. What do you want in your opening hand? I think is also really important, because you can't just go out there and be like, okay, I'm going to put in like all these sweet cards. It's going to have Ragnaros and Sylvanas and Ysera and all this, and you're like, oh wait, but I don't have any 2-drops. So
I think that's probably that's where I struggle the most, is not necessarily maybe building the deck, but thinking about like what I would mulligan for, like what I'm looking for. Most of the time, like I see cards come up and I'm like, oh wait, I'm gonna need that like turn 3 or turn 4, and then I'm just like, wait, no, but I shouldn't keep that. And just trying to figure out when you're in the building phase of what you're going to be looking for in your mulligan is, I think, really important and sometimes overlooked.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You can start looking at all these really exciting cards, but you realize every game goes through an early game phase before you can ever get to any of that stuff. So if you don't give yourself some sort of ability to deal with that early game phase, however that is, like if you think about hand lock is the quintessential, I don't play anything turn 2 or 3, 1, 2, or 3, actually, often cases. But hand lock has things like Shadow Flame, to deal with just a big AoE that just, okay, now we've evened things out. Now I have all the power. And that's how they get around that, right? So, or the ability to, say, play the Ancient Watcher and then taunt it up or silence it and start to actually clear out minions. There's a few ways that they can deal with early game. You need to have some way to deal with early game because a lot of decks are going to be built around that.
Right.
And then it's how do you get to the win condition, right? Which is, how do I draw enough cards? How do I live long enough to get to whatever win condition I've set up? So things like Sludge Belcher, Anti-Heal Bot, cards that draw Azure Drake, things like that. Yeah, like getting to the win condition is a combination of living long enough and also drawing enough of your deck. So you're going to have to account for all of this. There's a lot of stuff you got to account.
It is a lot of stuff.
You got 30 cards to do it. Go.
Which is also so frustrating because part of the time I sit there and I start to build a deck and then I hit, like I just throwing cards in. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need that one and that one and that one and that one and that one. And I haven't even built, whatever part of the game it is, the early game, the win condition, the cards that respond to the meta. And I'm already at 28 cards. I'm just like, well, shit.
Well, we haven't mentioned some of the super basics because, it's been mentioned on previous episodes, but it does bear repeating. You need to pay attention to your curve. You don't want something insane that's just nothing but 7 drops and forward. Like,
you need to lower amount of late game cards because those cards have a bigger impact when they come out. So you don't need as many, right? You need more of the early game cards,
right? Because
you can actually start to play in the early game.
You're guaranteed to have a turn 3. Maybe not a 4 if you're playing against Firebat's Mech Shaman, but you're guaranteed to have a turn 3. So you should have more 3 drops than you should, 7 drops.
7 drops, yeah. So the way I if I'm looking at it, I'm just going to say I'm going to build a deck for this class. You can always kind of build a tempo deck, I think, for almost any class if you really want to. And that would be a good place to start, is just try to build a deck where you have possibilities to drop something on every turn. And that's a good way, like I've never built a deck of my own before. How should I do it? I kind of feel like at some point, to me, this became somewhat of a boring play style of every turn I play something. But it's how I set up arena decks all the time, and that's how you set up really good arena decks is build just the curve. Don't worry about anything else. Just make sure I can always play something when it's time to play something. And, that's a good place to start. And it'll give you a good understanding of that before you move into getting crazy with, like, miracle rogues and all that kind of, the really advanced players have to create those kind of decks, that don't use the conventional method of killing you, which is play more stuff than you do, hit you in the face more often than you hit me in the face, right?
Right.
So I also put in a bunch of stuff about just kind of some of the questions you run into. So those are the 4 basics of whatever, okay, let me think about my deck. What do I want my deck to do? But then there's some questions that kind of come up, right? If I'm building this deck. So things like, should I put 2 of this card in or just 1 of this card in, right? This is I think a lot of people run into this issue where it's like, well, yeah, of course I put 2 of this card. This card's amazing. But think about if you had 2 in your hand, right? Would that suck? Would that be okay? If it would suck, you probably don't want to do it.
Good example is Quartermaster.
Sure.
If you're a Paladin
you see
player,
a lot of 1 of Quartermaster.
Yeah, if you're a Paladin player and you've tried making your deck with muster, you have asked yourself this question: do I want 1 Quartermaster or 2? And there's plenty of decks out there that don't agree with one another, because there are plenty of 2 Quartermaster decks and there are plenty of 1 Quartermaster decks. I fall into the camp of 1.
Yeah, I hate having 2 in my hand, man. I just hate it because you're really kind of hogtied by, I need to get some of my hero power dudes to live if I don't have my muster.
Exactly. And we already mentioned Anti-Heal Bot. That's another one where 2 of them, you're just kind of unless I'm really going down fast, I don't need 2 3/3s for 5 mana. I just don't need it.
No, exactly. And there's a lot of cards too that are similar where it's is this a situational card? Is it like Big Game Hunter? You don't see very many 2-ofs of that anymore. Kezon Mystic. Black Knight, obviously you can't have two of, but like these are like cards that answer a specific situation.
I'm trying to think what tournament I was watching. It was like a weekday during the day, and Kibler was playing Firebat, and Kibler had 2 Kazan Mystics in his deck, and it killed him.
Yeah, that's terrible because you lose stats on that card for what it does. It's a situational card. If they don't play into your situation, it's a bad card. It's just a bad card.
Don't play into Dill's situation, folks.
Yeah, exactly. My situation, don't want to play with it. If the card is a top tier card, though, just 2 of it, right? So Sludge Belcher, Piloted Shredder. These cards are just good, right? They're just good cards. So if you're gonna put 1 in, just put 2 in. There's a lot of cards like that where there's no reason to run 1 of those cards in my estimation. It's like if you look at Oil Rogue for a long time was running 2 Violet Teachers, and Violet Teacher is great because it can kind of take over a game, but it also plays poorly with your oil because you sometimes oil the 1/1 that comes out and you buff him instead of a card that can attack right away. So they ended up going with 2 Piloted Shredders and 1 Violet Teacher because the Shredders are just always good, and the Violet Teacher is sometimes amazing, sometimes not so great, right?
Yep.
So you got to kind of look at situations like that and make your call there. And then I try to stay away from, the 1 of rule is, these are situational. These are cards I don't want double of. But try not to build a deck that has 10 or 12 1-ofs and you got all situations covered, right? But you don't know if you're going to draw the right situational card.
Yeah,
it
becomes Master of None. Like it has an identity crisis. It doesn't have a game plan. It's just like, well, if they do this, I can do that, and you become 100% reactionary, and you can never really take the game into your control.
Sure, and you just end up with a really inconsistent deck. Like sometimes you may draw like a god, and every time they play something, you have the exact right answer for it. And then sometimes, you're playing Control Warrior and you have a bunch of Kazan Mystics and, nothing good to play against them. You don't have your Harrison Jones. You don't have your single ooze. And you don't, it's like you just need to choose the things you're trying to counter. And that's understanding the meta to do that. But then don't overblow that. Like, I'm trying to counter every deck I could run into.
Yep.
You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to lose more often than you win. So, let's see. Always mind the hero power. Your class is going to define what the types of things you can do with your deck. So your hero power is Hunter hero power. I do 2 damage to the face. I should probably make an aggro deck, right? Seems like a no-brainer.
I want Steam Wheel Sniper to work so bad.
Yeah.
What about something like Shaman, where the hero power is so different? Like it can be different every time. You've got 4 different potential things that could pop out of your hero power.
Well, Shaman does mind the hero power because Shaman's more likely to play cards that buff their totems so that they get some value out of their totems. So you see things like, double Defender of Argus in Shaman. You see, obviously, the Flame Tongue totems. You can see things like Abusive Sergeants and Dark Iron Dwarves and stuff. Something where you've got this hero power that you don't know what you're going to get, but I know it's going to be a minion that's on the board, and I want to make it valuable somehow. So they also mind, any class is going to have the ability to, and that's why Zoo is Zoo, because their hero power allows them to draw cards. So I can play a bunch of cheap cards, and I can burn through my hand, and I can always just continue to draw more cards, 2 cards a turn. So every deck is going to have, you're going to have to take that into consideration. That's the one thing that you're going to have every turn available to you is that hero power. So don't forget about it. Don't build a deck that doesn't work with the hero power you have. Like, don't put... This is why Aggro Priest doesn't work, because you got a lot of cards with 1 health. And you're like, what do I do with my heal now? Do I heal the thing that's already dead? Nope, don't do that.
Well, you go Shadow Priest.
Yeah, okay.
I want to make it work, man. I want to make it work.
I've seen it, and I've seen people do okay with it.
I know, I've seen it.
I went up against one on ladder. I think it was last season. Crazy.
It's too expensive. 3 mana just to turn it into the good hero power, and then 2 mana to use it, and it's too expensive. Put in Dr. Boom. You want to be a good deck builder, put in Dr. Boom.
Yep.
I mean, this is
kind of a joke, but
real too.
It's kind of not.
If you're making mid-range or control, you could probably just put in Boom, Sylvanas, Lotheb, and Emperor, and then just fill in the rest, right? Mm-hmm. Fill out your curve, and you'd probably be okay. So
if you're doing aggro, not so much.
No, but even like, I've seen like the zoo decks, they're not really aggro decks, but you consider them somewhat aggro.
They have a very aggressive
control deck.
Yeah, they're very aggressive opening curve.
Yeah. And even those run Dr. Boom a lot of times. So, just Dr. Boom's good, guys. If you're like wondering like which legendary should I put in Dr. Boom.
That was a delightful little pot at the tournament we just talked about, which I already forgot the name of, the DreamHack one, the PGL. They had these fun little pop-up factoids, and it was like pop-up fact, and it was like ECOP thought Dr. Boom was just a slightly improved War Golem.
Wow.
It made me laugh out loud alone in my office. It was great.
So the question that Scott King asked, which I think we'll address now, is how do I know if the deck is terrible? And how do I know when to pull the plug on this deck? The only way to know that is to do some tracking. And there's several ways you could do that. You could use Hearthstone Deck Tracker. You could
Hearthstats.
use hearthstats.net.
Use a notebook.
Use a piece of paper. so
old school.
You could just remember it in your brain, but I don't think that's the best way to do it. Keep track of your record against specific decks, and you need to like analyze this data, because just knowing what your win record is, win loss record, without knowing what decks you won against or lost against, or the frequency that you face those decks, isn't going to do too much good for you. So you want to pay attention to the frequency you face certain decks and what your record is against those, because you can't build a deck against every deck, but you can build a deck against most of the decks, right? And I think that's going to be the key. So whatever you're seeing a lot of in the current meta, that's what you want to build against, and that's going to change a lot. So if this is something you want to tackle, is building decks, you're going to also have to realize you're going to have to do this a lot. Like you're going to have to change your current deck a little bit here and there, or completely chuck it out because the meta has changed and it doesn't work anymore. That's going to happen. Tweak it based on what you see. Tweak it based on what's happening in your games. If you realize you're always dead, like card dead, if you realize you're always dead, your deck sucks. If you realize you're always card dead, you need more draw. If you realize you always don't have enough early game, you need more early game. If you realize you always don't have enough stuff to play the mid game, you know what I mean? It's just like, just pay attention to what's happening in the games and realize why you're losing or why you're winning or something like that. And then just that's when you got to flex your brain power a little bit and figure it out, because there's no science to that. It's just understanding, right? What's happening. And I think, Garrett and Jocelyn, you guys do this all the time probably, where, you net deck, but then you make a change to the deck, right?
Yeah.
So you get this deck's built by Savitz. Got to be pretty good, right?
Yep.
I'm not winning with it. Oh, because it's missing something that would counter the current meta. So tweaking
and because we've talked about before, like, I mean, a lot of the pro players are clearly playing up at legend rank, right? And there's a different meta up at the top of legend than there is at rank 5 to 1 than there is at rank 15 to 5. So you have to make
funnest meta is rank 18, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this.
Is it?
Yeah. If you're like ranked 25 to 20, you're not actually having all the fun that they're having at 18. So get up to 18.
I disagree. Rank 25, anytime I kick the iPad over to Katie's account, which she hasn't been playing lately, I have a blast because I have no idea what I am playing
But they're
against.
playing like all the basic cards, right? And when you
Not
get to
always.
like 18, you start seeing like all the like legendaries, but they're in really weird, crazy, creative decks. Like that's what like those people have actually played a little bit, and but their deck is still so weird that they're never going to get out of 18.
It's not super consistent.
It's bouncing up and down.
Or it's the guy that took a break for a month and doesn't have
yeah, it could be too.
Doesn't have the BRM cards yet, but it's
that's also a possibility. But I was watching my buddy Cal play at 18, and I was like, "What is this deck you're playing? What is this deck you're playing against?" Like I was like mind blown every turn by the cards they were playing.
Well, that was like I remember the one time you started observing me, Dills, and I was trying to get a priest daily done, so I had my priest, my mech priest, and you're just like, "What the f is this? This is the best thing I've seen all week."
Yeah, but Jocelyn makes a very good point. The meta is, and the pros are making. Like, somebody's always posted in competitive Hearthstone Reddit, this is the deck I got to Legend with, and then everyone goes, oh, cool, this is a Legend deck. I'm going to play this down to rank 15. And you're like, oh, it doesn't beat Face Hunter, which is all I'm facing at rank 15. It's like, well, that guy got to legend because he was facing nothing but Control Warrior and Handlock and stuff, and it might work there. It's not going to work at every rank. Nope. So, yeah. But last thing I'll say is if you got to figure out when to quit, when your deck sucks. So your deck might suck, and you might have to throw it completely out and start from scratch.
Is it when you break your tablet, phone, or computer monitor? Is that is that the point to stop?
That might be the spot, yeah.
Or have I gone throwing things?
Have I gone too far?
I think it's so. Like a lot of people too do this thing where it's like, how many games do I need to play before I know like where I'm at? And I would say somewhere in the range of like 10 games, you'll really kind of have an idea. If you went two wins, 8 losses, it's probably a bad deck. If you
and this is also this like for average Joe rank play. We're clearly not saying you're going to know if this is going to win the next DreamHack in 10 games, but
yeah. But you'll get a sense after about that many games. I've given up on decks after 2 games.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm just like, this deck is just not working.
That's what I did with Dragon Paladin today. I was like, I crafted you Sarah. Okay, let's do this. Game 1, abysmal loss. Game 2, abysmal loss. You know what? F this. I'm going back to Patron Warrior.
Exactly. And sometimes you'll know that quick. But if the games are close and you're just getting edged out, it might just be that you need to make a couple of small tweaks. So play out a few more games, get a sense of what may be going wrong, make a couple tweaks, but don't give up too quickly, but also don't hold on too long. And that's something we can't really tell you exactly how to do. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. But, And if you're having a
how the deck makes you feel.
If you're having fun with the deck, then who gives a crap if you're winning or losing? I mean, I had a great time playing Dank Whispers, and I did not win that. Well, actually, first time I got like surprisingly to rank 7 with it, which I was just trying to mess around. Sometimes you just like find the lightning in a bottle at that right moment in the meta. Didn't work ever again after that. But if you're having a great time playing it, then who am I to tell you to stop playing the deck? Just play the deck you like. But if you're trying to win, at some point you may have to cut your losses. But pretty much, that's. I don't know. Did I miss anything? Is there more to it?
No, I think that was a really good overview. The nail on the head. Good starting spot.
Yeah, it's not a perfect science. It's, but if that's something that you're interested in doing, just keep doing it. Keep trying things out. Get weird, man.
Yes, get weird. Call your deck that. Your next deck should be titled Get Weird.
Get weird.
Get weird, man. Yep.
And make sure you play Goldshire Footman.
I mean, okay. Step 1 to building a deck: don't put in Goldshire Footman. Worst card ever.
Let's take a crazy game story.
Has the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it.
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our story today comes to us from Ryan, who says, "Good evening, semi-flightless yet fully vexed farm fowl. I have a truly wonderful game moment for you. I was playing some ladder last night and had my mid-range mage deck facing against a demon lock. Nothing bizarre happening at the start of the game, typical trading and sparring, until my opponent kills my mad scientist, giving me mirror entity. Thinking nothing of it, he gives me a fairly meh card for a mage to have, Void Collar. I keep going as usual until I remember my deck runs Illidan Stormrage. Sure enough, my very next draw is Illidan, a demon. I say, thank you. Trying to contain my excitement, finish my turn, then he kills my Void Collar on his turn, dropping Illidan Stormrage on the board. My opponent pauses for a solid 15 seconds or so, then starts spamming well played before continuing the game. I'm sure they must have had the same reaction I did. It's the first time I've ever seen this interaction happen, and it was glorious. I did end up winning the match somewhat in thanks to Illidan. Thank you all for taking the time out of your weeks to host this fantastic show. I've been hooked for several months now, and I'm looking forward to new podcasts on Tuesday mornings during my morning drive. Keep it going, Cluckers." Oh, that
all right,
just...
detective Dill's on the case. No, there's no holes to poke.
No detective. I ran into a mage that ran Illidan, like, I think the first day of the April season, and I was just like, every single turn, I'm like, what is he play? What's happening? I ended up friending the guy after me, this whole big conversation about this crazy Illidan deck. It was ridiculous.
I love Illidan. I don't have him, but I would like to see him work.
Nerf Illidan to a 6/5.
No, nerf Illidan in Heroes of the Storm. He's fine. Here.
Yeah.
So,
I just bought him today, actually.
In Heroes?
In Heroes.
Have you played him?
He's really good in Heroes. He's insanely good in Heroes. Although the pros make him look better than he is in the hands of a
hard
mere mortal.
to play correctly.
Yeah, because I tend to want to dive to the back of the line. I'm like, there's a Lily back there. I'm gonna get it. And
then you dive over the wall.
well.
Then you're getting hit by the fort, and it's no good.
The pros actually know to keep your Illidan alive and stuff too. Sometimes
that
solo
sounds
queue,
like a good
they don't
strategy.
heal you.
Dills, would you say you were prepared?
I would say I was not prepared to play or play against Illidan.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that.
All right. But
I think that I want to try a tempo mage with Illidan in it because that sounds. I've actually gotten Illidan. I was playing it earlier. I got it twice off of my
Portal?
Bane of Doom. No, I was playing the Zoo and I got it twice off of my Bane of Doom, and then I was playing the tempo mage and I got it once off of my Portal, and it was like it's playing with this card all the time. It's like Illidan's in my deck.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I could see it working really well in a tempo mage just because of the fact that you have all these really low cost spells. And so a card that's pumping out 2/1s every time you play your Portal or, whatever it is, like it could work pretty well. So good on you, man. Good idea. Good idea, Ryan.
Thank you for the email. Now let's take some emails. We need to get a better segue between
some non-crazy
crazy game
emails?
stories that are, they're
more reserved emails.
What they said.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Hey, Dills. Dogs can look up.
Dogs can look up?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Email us at tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Benjamin, who says, cheers and compliments, choleric capons?
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I think it's
To
like
the Googles.
Super scientific.
I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, Benjamin writes, I always enjoy listening to your podcast every week, so thank you for such a wonderful show. This year, I promised myself that I would go to BlizzCon, and I was fortunate enough to snag a ticket to the event. However, this puts me in a pickle. I've never been to BlizzCon, or any convention for that matter, and as such, I don't know what I'm getting into. I've heard while listening to your episodes that there are tournaments to watch, boosts to visits, and general craziness that goes on at BlizzCon. What do I need to know about BlizzCon to enjoy myself fully? What should I expect to bring into the convention center each day? I was also wondering if any of you had any suggestions on learning the lore of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft. That's a tall order, sir. I know mostly only what I've experienced briefly when I had an active WoW subscription and what I learned in Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. I've also played D3, but it was a power leveling to play with my friends and didn't retain much. I think I'd enjoy the convention more if I had a deeper understanding of the games that Blizzard puts out instead of the casual understanding of them I currently have. Thanks for your time. Hope to stop by your booth if you guys have one at BlizzCon. No, we don't have a booth at BlizzCon.
Do not have a BlizzCon booth, no.
But if you,
we do have a guild hall.
I do have a guild hall in the Hilton.
Yes.
Kind of a giant booth.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Where usually there's a lot of alcohol in bags, and whatnot.
There's a lot of cool nerds chilling out, having good, fun, nerdy times. So that's great.
I would say, first off, not to worry too much. I think you're going to have a great time no matter what. I kind of went into my first BlizzCon pretty blind. All I did really going to my very first one was made sure to check out the schedule beforehand because they do rent out the entire convention center and there are many, many, many stages. So it's actually impossible if you are there to see everything. Folks watching from home can catch more of the convention easier than the people actually there on the ground can. But it's absolutely worth going to. So check out the schedule. Maybe make yourself a light itinerary. I wouldn't lock yourself down too much.
Well, on the app, you can schedule stuff you want to see on the BlizzCon app, which is actually a pretty cool feature. So you can kind of check your schedule, the things you want to check out. But yeah, it's a good idea to go with a little bit of a game plan because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and you're going to want to make sure you're ready to go to the place that you want to go for the thing that you want to see. So
don't stand in the merch line.
No. Yes,
do
actually,
the merch line,
you're
just
absolutely
whatever.
right. So
if you like merch, order that stuff on the internet later at a later date. It's just an insane line.
Quick story. Jocelyn, Katie, and myself. How long did we wait? Like 4 hours? Something insane?
I think it was somewhere between 3 and 4 hours.
It was absurd. We were very fortunate that the merch line was by the stage where they were doing the Hearthstone presentation on Goblins vs. Gnomes, so we got to see.
If we hadn't have been able to see that, I think I just would have cried.
And we still missed portions because there were like these dead zones in the corners where you could barely hear or see anything. But whatever. Don't stand in the merch line. You go at the end on the last day. Whatever's still in stock is what you're thankful to get, or you just order it offline because they do a pre-sale ahead of time.
I'll say this too: bring like some gum, some deodorant, be
comfortable shoes.
Get a little stinky. Yeah, don't wear. It's kind of cold in there, so even though it might be hot outside, and you're like, "Oh, put on just my t-shirt, my shorts." I'm gonna go in there. You get inside, it's actually kind of cold inside.
Throw a hoodie in your bag.
Yeah, so have some kind of light. So all you need is something light. You don't need something too heavy. But yeah, see, the outside is gonna be hot, it's Anaheim. Inside is gonna be cold, so be prepared for that duality. iPads and all that stuff are fine inside. I think like full-on laptops and stuff are not.
Laptops are not allowed.
Yeah, unless you're like a press person. I'm not even sure. Do they allow like giant, awesome cameras for regular people? I don't even know.
I don't believe so. Like tripods.
You can
and
snap
stuff
like regular
weird.
pictures, like a little digital camera.
You can bring a regular camera.
I don't know if you have like a crazy SLR camera, like you probably can't bring that in unless you're press.
I think if it's small enough to fit in a normal camera bag, I'm pretty sure you can bring it.
Yeah. So just be aware. There's some things that aren't allowed inside, so make sure you check that out too, because that could suck if you get up to the front and you got your stuff. You walked from your hotel room that's like 3 Anaheim blocks away, and then you're like, can't bring this in. Oh well.
Yeah, read the site for that kind of stuff if you're worried about what you can and cannot bring in, because obviously we're not the authority on it. But
don't listen to what we're saying. We may be wrong.
In terms of lore, at least for me, because I had a similar experience where I came into WoW so late that I didn't know what was going on. The books are fantastic, especially Christy Golden. She is just so good. So if you're looking for lore, look for the books, because they do a really good job of explaining a lot of the backstory that you miss if all you do is play the games. And StarCraft, if you can play through the campaign, like because it's so linear, it's really hard to miss out on stuff. And I'd say Diablo's the same way. Like, you're not going to miss things in Diablo and StarCraft the way that you miss things in Warcraft.
You're making it sound like an option on StarCraft, Jocelyn, and I take issue with that, because StarCraft has the best frickin' story of any Blizzard game.
Oh no, I completely agree. StarCraft,
I know you do. I'm messing with you.
When Heart of the Swarm came out, like it ended up winning my game of the year because the story was just so good. Like, no, I'm completely on board with the campaign not being optional.
Everybody, within the sound of my voice, if you've not played through the StarCraft 2 campaign, run, do not walk, get it done. Thank you.
So good.
Choleric means bad-tempered. Angry, grumpy, grouchy, crotchety, testy, cranky,
crotchety.
Somebody broke out their thesaurus.
Ill-tempered, peevish, cross, fractious, crabbed, crabby, waspish, prickly, peppery, touchy, short-tempered.
Waspish? I take offense to that.
Why do you take offense to waspish?
From the Spanish capon,
you never heard
is
the
a
term
rooster or cockerel that has been castrated to improve the quality of its flesh for food.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. So a castrated rooster or cockerel, it's a capone.
That is...
Which would make one choleric, I would say.
I would assume. That was never that's not the backstory I made in my head about the angry chicken.
Yeah. When we started the show, we were like, we're like, castrated chickens, man. That's
That was exactly what Dill suggested. It's just like the castrated chickens. Yeah. We're originally going to call it the Varys chicken.
Nice.
Dill, do you want to take the next email?
Sure, this one's from AA Ron. He says, greetings, cluckaroonies. Long-time listener, first time writing in. Just gave you your first 5-star review on the Japan iTunes. Whoa, gotta check that out. Well, thank you, sir. I'd like to ask your opinion about different regions not being able to play against each other and how this inhibits competitions of playing with friends. My main account is on the America server. However, since I live in Japan, I think most of the people here play on the Asia server. I'd really like to compete with some people locally, but since you cannot play across servers, it's very troublesome. Are there any ways around this other than leveling up on all 3 servers? I think Blizzard will find a way to fix this issue. Thoughts, please. While I am at it, please ask Blizzard to localize Hearthstone in Japanese. Everybody here is constantly playing games on their phone, and it would be a great market for them. All of my friends see me playing, get interested, but are scared away by the fact that it is in English. Anyways, always looking forward to listening to you guys every week, so please keep on clucking. There is no way around this right now. You have to just level up in the region that you want to play on the most. So that sucks for you.
It does
suck. But yeah, I don't know if they'll ever offer an option to cross server. They might at some point. It's possible, but their servers would have to be very stable at that point to handle any crossover traffic. I mean, Blizzard's kind of always had this regional kind of server base, right? Where
which in StarCraft I was very thankful, so I didn't play anyone from South Korea that wasn't on the North American server on purpose.
Yeah.
But in every other Blizzard game, it's the only thing I hate with a burning passion of 1,000 suns. I can't stand the region lock.
Yeah. I actually thought that you could play with Japanese on the cards, though. Am I wrong about that? I thought that you could. I've seen people play with different languages on the cards. Maybe Japanese is not one of them?
I don't think Japanese is one of them, no.
Okay, so they just don't have... Okay, and I'm sure they probably will once they believe that the Japanese market is big enough. But, yeah, I know you can do, like some European languages and Spanish and stuff like that, so... they also do have, like, it was a Moz who's doing the Taiwanese... Chinese voiceovers, because they do change the card emotes when you play them in different languages too. So I guess that sucks they don't have Japan yet, but I guess they probably just made that call based on how many people they thought were playing there, really, and what made sense to them financially to do. So
I could have sworn Japanese was one of the ones that it was localized in.
It feels like it would be, but
I'm not sure how would he know if he's not playing, because he said he's playing on the North American server. So how would he even know?
Well, if he's playing North American,
he said his friends are turned off because it's all in English.
But they're seeing him play.
I can change the language on my computer to a different language, but I'm still playing on my North American account. Like that's the thing. If he's playing on his phone, though, I don't know if that option's there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I played, I remember one time I thought it was funny if I played it in German or something like that, because the German voiceovers are amazing.
Anoyotron is my favorite one. Just Anoyotron for all of the different languages. It's just great.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Ni hao.
So I guess there is in Japan. Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, get on that, Blizzard.
Huh. Alrighty.
There you go. Request made.
Thanks.
Koreans and Chinese, I know it's a big deal there, but I guess Japan just doesn't. They're not on board yet with all the players. So
I love the idea that Blizzard listens to us too. Like, hey, could you ask Blizz? Like, they're not.
We got you. We got you.
Yeah,
we would have had Death Knights 3 months ago.
AA Ron, real quick, would you?
We'd have had Death Knights 3 months ago. We'd have way more deck slots. Would have had Observer mode way earlier if they really heeded.
Listen to us, yeah.
If they really heeded our complaints. So, Jocelyn, what's the last email today?
This one comes to us from Brandon. He says, well met, Ferocious Fowls. I'm a teacher at West Michigan Aviation Academy in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm also a Hearthstone player and an avid listener of TAC. Recently, I was lucky enough to be allowed to start a Hearthstone club at the high school I teach at. Shut up.
Teaches an entire high school.
The high school I teach. He just stands out front of the building and he's like, let's begin.
Learn, damn you.
We only have 550 students, and when the club was announced, I was shocked to see how many people actually showed up. We currently have 28 members in the club. Granted, not all of them show up to every meeting. We typically have 8 to 15. Hopefully the club will continue to grow, and I'm working on getting some of them to be listeners as well. I just wanted to let you all know. I think this is so cool. I know in the signature of his email it said that he was a math teacher, so it's like math club, but it's like incognito. It's like they don't know they're doing math.
That's the only way you get me in math club.
Ever. Yeah, I would have been all over this if I was in high school when this game was out. I mean,
oh, absolutely. And with all the talk of TESPA this weekend, I was just like, oh, this is perfect. They can learn it in high school and then go up into university and then get their super cool card back.
I've heard of Magic clubs and stuff like that, and different kind. I think Valkyrian was saying that he had a league club or something like that in his school. I'm not maybe I'm thinking of the wrong guy, but
yeah, when I was in high school,
I've heard of people doing that stuff too. And this is awesome to have a Hearthstone club, and it's a great way to teach some math, because you could say, well, why would I play this? Let's talk about it mathematically. Like, I'm trying to set up lethal for a turn in advance. So how do I get around to that? And there's really cool learning opportunities here. So
great math teacher, Dills.
Yeah. How do I do that? You guys tell me. Can anybody tell me? How am I going to get lethal in a couple turns?
Because seriously, I'm curious.
Yeah, I just don't know what to do right now.
I'm pretty sure I can kill him next turn, but I'm not sure. Could someone please help me through this?
There is actually so the math is not complex in Hearthstone, but it is still, it's very problem solvy. So it'll teach you a lot of skills like that, rather than complex math where you're learning using calculus and stuff. You'll just be learning how to like plan for probabilities and things like that. Which
and also say,
well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's all odds, and then you've got you have to do quick math. You have to figure out your combos, like all that kind of stuff, and you have to think on your feet. So I think it's great. It's a great teaching tool.
I prefer to play Hearthstone on my butt, Jocelyn, but I guess I could play it on my feet too.
You guys are the worst.
Yeah. I would also argue that Thorison has made the math a little more complicated.
Oh my god, yeah, that's what we said last week. I was just like, after 3 turns of him, I can't even math anymore. I have too many options, and then I just go spluh.
And then God, forbid your opponent plays Thorison and it's someone like a mage, especially if it's a freeze mage, and it goes off. All of your assumptions about what could possibly happen to you in the following turn just goes out the window. It's like, well, what did he have in his hand? What did he not have in his hand? Okay, yeah, it's mind-boggling. I love it. It's such an added layer of complexity to this game. Great job on Epithet Thorison. Jeez, great card. Thanks for your emails, everyone. Again, send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com, and that is going to do it for this week's episode. It was a long one. It's good having you back, Dills.
What's that?
It's good having you back. I know you've only been gone a week, but it feels like forever.
This is why it's a long one. The long-winded Dills is back, guys.
Thanks for our patrons. You guys are the best and just so damn awesome over at patreon.com/TAC. Thank you so much. This week, we wanted to thank patron Just M. So apparently, James Bond's boss supports Finger Chicken.
She loves the show. Yeah. She's gonna send us all watches that blow up. Cool.
I prefer the laser watch so I can escape from a train before it explodes.
Ooh.
And then,
you can still escape from a train with a watch that blows up.
And then I guess you could, but
maybe missing a hand, but
maybe missing
but
a
you
hand.
got out of that train,
which will slow my which will slow how fast I can track down Ned Stark and defeat him on a satellite. Also, thanks to John H. Thank you to Benjamin D. Williams, Billy D. Williams' cousin.
Billy D. Williams' cousin. Yeah, long lost.
So much. Normally, I only do last initials, but I saw Benjamin D. Williams, and I'm like, you, sir, I'm sorry. Your last name's staying in. It's too amazing.
Right now, he's like, I'm in witness protection, Garrett. Thank you very much.
Well, he
telling everybody his full name.
Have given his real name on the Patreon.
That was a poor choice on his part.
Why would he have done that?
Considering he's in witness protection.
You literally could have put just Bob or B. If anyone puts Bob the Skull, by the way, all the points for you. Okay. Kenneth G. and Tyler V. Also, thank you guys very much for
my grandfather's Kenneth G.
Oh.
Is he
No, it's not this Kenneth G, I'm sure.
Kenny G?
But my grandfather's name is Kenneth Gregory. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
By the way, we're at like 444 patrons.
I know. We're so
close to 450, you guys.
We're so past the yellow swag.
Who's going to be patron 450?
We're so past the yellow swag. So past it.
Yeah. Yellow swag 420 was forever ago, man. It was blown right by that.
It was 25 ago. Exactly. It's 25.
Well, let's ask Brandon. Brandon, how many ago was that?
When did 420 happen?
Oh, jeez. We're doing our next patron hangout tomorrow. If you're listening to this on podcast, it's tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. May start a little late depending on when Dills gets home, but we're doing it. Check it out. Thank you to those of you who left us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Gradito Berg wrote, "I give it 3 boots." Thank you.
We're getting
That's better than 5 stars.
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of emails now that say like, "Oh, look what I did! I totally beat the game," and it's the golden turnip with the 2 boots.
Yep. The Twitter's the same way. Also, thanks to Cool Breeze 42, Arnie is numero uno, T2 the Mofujinji. I don't know.
Mofujinji.
Okay, there you go. Jinjay, and then Golfalicious. Thank you guys.
Golfalicious? That's my boy.
Thank you for
Really, or does it just have golf in it, so you're all excited?
This is golf in it. So
Thank you for calling him out on that,
boy.
Jocelyn. Thank you. The Angry Chicken, as always, is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. All of our past live shows and other videos can be found over at youtube.com/StarcastShow. Get the Angry Chicken t-shirt over at /loot.com. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. Catch us live every Monday night right here on twitch.tv/amovetv at 10 p.m. Eastern, and over on alphageekradio.com, even though I totally messed it up tonight and couldn't get the stream working. And thanks to Brian Griffith, who made our intro music. Check out his work over at briangriffithmusic.com. Dills, where can folks find you?
You can find me every Friday on The Instance, the World of Warcraft podcast. You don't have to. So much news going on in World of Warcraft, you guys. It's just crazy what's going on over there. Actually, we're like at a super lull, but that's fine. Eventually,
I was going to say, really? Again. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, there's like nothing going on. Well, I mean, we're always still having a great time.
Well,
so
the PTR news last week was
that was cool.
A lot to
discuss. We get 1 week of like, here's some stuff, and then we'll see you in.
Well, then you wait till it comes.
Yeah. But we still always, of course, have a great time. It's one of the funnest casts of hosts you could ever have. So you just listen to us talk about, Macaulay Culkin or whatever else we feel like that day. We also talk about like Hearthstone and Heroes and all kinds of stuff on that show. Check out Torturecast if you're a fan of the San Francisco Giants. We're going to record one after this show. Giants are in the full swing, but I'm still kind of in Warriors land right now. Like, I know the Giants season started, but the Warriors are in the playoffs and the best team in the NBA. So, but we're doing that, and I'll be at a bunch of games, so there'll be some bonus odes and all kinds of stuff. If you're a Giants fan, check that out. And if you like golf, like Golfalicious, my buddy over here, you can join the Mediocre Golf Association, mjtour.com. I won the last tournament I played. We just posted a new video from our World Championships. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. So mjtour.com. And then if you're in the Bay Area, come to game night Tuesdays and Thursdays at Folsom Street Foundry. I'll be there this Thursday, but there's not one tomorrow. So D-Day is going to be here on like May 19th, and we're going to do a Magic draft, which is going to be sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because I've actually never done one. So this will be the first time. Like, maybe I should go to a Friday Night Magic and practice, but
that works. Or you can do it online.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I could do that.
We could do it together. We could get on Skype and get on the same table. Be fun.
That would be awesome to actually like talk through stuff. That would be crazy.
I do it with Ben every now and then.
Sweet. Okay. And then if you like watching me play video games, check out my Twitch channel. It's Willie Dills SF on Twitch. So there you go.
Hell yeah, Jocelyn. How about you?
Right here on AMove TV every Friday night for the Gamers In. We do that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We also do game night on Thursdays, so we stream games with listeners. Ton of fun. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, which is GIS Gamer, and that's the best way to find out when I stream because I don't have a set schedule, but I do try to stream 2 or 3 times a week. So follow me over on Twitter.
Awesome. Folks can find me on Twitter at Garretart, where I'm ranting. Lately, it's been about Heroes of the Dorm and angry ESPN fans. Also over at nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. And, of course, on Into the Nexus, where I'm talking all things Heroes of the Storm with my good buddy Kyle Ferguson. A lot of Heroes of the Dorm talk this week. Spoiler alert. It's gonna happen.
Sounds like a lie.
Yeah. Check out our sponsors, doghoussystems.com. Code to use is TAC. It'll get you a 120 gigabyte solid state drive added onto your rig. So use that code, support the show, get a free solid state drive. It's all good. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow, actually, for episode 80, which will be a patron hangout call-in episode. Be a good time. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!